Welcome to Songwriters from Here and Away. This is a show that focuses on new and established songwriters from Atlantic Canada, across Canada, and around the world. This week I sat down with Terra Spencer at the Carleton in Halifax, and we had a chat in the green room before her show with Young Tree and Carol B. The show today is the segment of Terra's tunes, as well as interspersed with the interview sections. Here she is, Terra Spencer. I have proven to myself that I am not Martin Scorsese. I know nothing about video editing or taking video.
Well,
so
I'm not Robert De Niro, so it would be all right.
No, but that's okay. And but you are Terra Spencer, and that's good enough for me.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So thank you for hanging out here at the Carleton. And
yeah, there are a few places I would rather hang out. I love it here.
It's great,
it's
isn't
no
it?
secret. Yeah.
Well, you've had some great success with concerts, shows, tours with Ben Kaplan and other folks.
Yeah. It's been a big summer for festivals.
You're out in my
end.
old home province, BC, and I saw your post from Deep Cove, and that's great. It's a lovely spot, isn't it?
Listen, it's a wonder. You would have seen more posts, but I had a very guilty conscience because while I was out there admiring the mountains and eating wild blackberries, Nova Scotia was flooding.
Yeah.
And it felt pretty rude to be sharing photos of, these gorgeous vistas while things were falling apart back at home. So, yes, I did have a beautiful time.
the joys of touring, and missing home and when those kind of things happen, it's like you say, it's very difficult to deal with it. Yeah. Did you have home problems with water, you guys, your family, your husband and 2 children? So
right. Well, as a household, we were very lucky because we live up a hill in Windsor. There's one big hill up Wiley Avenue, and that's where our house is. And so, our basement was dry, but as a town and all around us, it was wild.
A lot of suffering,
Yeah. No, really dark days.
Yeah.
Tragic days, yeah.
You've been writing songs for probably, 10 years now?
Not quite there yet. I think it was probably 2016-ish, 2016, I'll say. Yeah, just a little while after I started playing with Ryan Cook.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the story of you guys hooking up, and you were serving ice cream at the festival and stuff, and that
true.
really propelled you into doing music.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It was not a thing that had occurred to me to try ever. Yeah. I played music, piano and guitar when I was a kid, growing up, but not the songwriting piece and not performing in that way.
Right.
So, yeah.
You're a funeral director. Is that what's your title? Or maybe you're semi-retired from that now.
Well, yeah, good question. That is technically the title. I still am licensed, and occasionally I get pulled back in for the odd job, or if there's a family that I had a close connection to. But a simple fact is, to my surprise in particular, I'm just not home enough to be that useful.
Busy enough with music. Good.
Yeah, and that job, you need to be there. When the phone rings, you need to be there to answer it. I have had a busy summer, a happily busy summer, but I've been away from home a lot as a consequence. And today, we were kind of bustling around our house, trying to salvage it. My family is wonderful. They take great care of everything, the house, and most importantly, our 2 dogs, who I love dearly. But there's something about a house that, theoretically, you'd clean a house, and you'd leave it, and you'd come back, and it would be clean. And we are doing something wrong in this equation. And I think I was trying to figure it out today as I'm buzzing around with the vacuum cleaner and washing blankets, and just, God knows, I get a little bit manic sometimes when I should be doing other things. But I guess the recipe is you clean the house, you leave it, you list it on Airbnb. That seems to be the only way, because like the Airbnbs I've gone into were immaculate, but there's no people in them, and maybe that's the recipe. But there is a line. The reason I'm talking about this is because there is a line or two in this next song that makes a reference to the status of our house. And it's my responsibility that it's unkempt, because I would so much rather write songs than clean the house. And I acknowledged this early on, and it's just been a fact of life for our family. So I'm going to send this song out to my dear husband, Andrew, who holds down the fort while I am running around acting like a teenager. So this is a song for him, and it is from my first record, which a lot of you know is called Other People's Lives, because it's about relationships that are on the rocks or going astray, but we are fine. And therefore, this song for him is called Other People's Wives. You love to act, but I can't act my age. And I've got no taste for curtains unless they're hanging on a stage. I've got no mind for fashion, and I don't do my hair. I'm not the kind of girl inclined to care. I don't know the names of garden flowers, and I don't make good coffee. I don't have those superpowers. Dust and dishes settle around our place, and your work shirts have more wrinkles than my face. I know I'm not like other people's wives, with suppers set to simmer while they work their 9 to 5s. They don't waste time writing songs about other people's lives. I know I'm not like other people's wives. I never feel I am where I should be. My woes and worries would be through if there were two of me. One to work out in the cold, burying the dead. The other making love and baking bread. I know I'm not like other people's wives, with suppers set to simmer while they work their 9 to 5s. They don't waste time writing songs about other people's lives. I know I'm not like other people's wives. And I can't hold a mop and broom while I play guitar down in the music room. Get the groceries, change the bed. No, I'm no use to you when there's a song stuck in my head. And darling, I won't blame you if you go. If you want to buy a ticket to a Taylor Swift show. But before you do, I ask one little thing. Just sit a while and smile while I sing. I know you're not like other people's men, who only say I love you every now and then. Although there is no contest, you are still a perfect 10. I know you're not like other people's men. know you're not like other people's men. Thank you so much. One of the reasons that we were tidying up a little extra today is because my friends Young Tree and Carol B are going to be couch surfing at our house. Have any of you done much couch surfing? Any couch surfers? No musicians in the crowd, I guess. No, but yeah, I hadn't done much couch surfing until I started playing songs and traveling around playing shows, and now, like, I'm an accomplished couch surfer. I have, like, floor surfed, I have car surfed, I have armchair surfed in the Super 8 in Truro at one point, and that was the worst kind of surfing, I think, of all of them. But yeah, couch surfing is a fun thing in a way. Like being billeted in someone's house, it's one thing to just stay in a hotel room, which is like a blank canvas. But when you were put up for the night in someone's house, wow, do you learn a lot about people. And you're not supposed to like look in people's medicine cabinets. My gosh, it's hard to resist, hey? Like, what's going on in there? Why do they have Fixodent when no one has dentures? Like, what's happening there? Anyhow, that's saying more about me than it is about them. But it's part of the fun of traveling around playing shows is where will you stay the night? Where will you be put up? And the next song I'm going to play is about the first night my friend Ryan Cook and I arrived in Germany in 2019, which was a big trip for me, and a lot of you know that story and know about it. But this song is about the room we stayed in for the night. We were bunk bed surfing for that one night in this room in a rickety old apartment building. And we learned, I'll sum this up in short because a lot of you are familiar faces and you know this story. But we learned that the room had been lived in previously by what we call a hoarder, if you're familiar with that, yeah. And that the person had passed away recently in that room. And our host was telling us with a real pride in his voice that he had done a great job cleaning it out in a hurry, and we would have a very comfortable sleep there. And that's fine. People die. They have to die somewhere. And I'm totally comfortable with that. But it's just like, you didn't have to tell us, you know? Secrets are okay, says this person. I'm not going to take responsibility for that. So here, from an apartment building in Munich, Germany, is a song called Messy, which is what the German English version of the word hoarder is. There's another story that goes with this song, but I'm not going to tell it here. Secrets are okay. Over pale German ale, Michael tells us the tale of the man who had lived one floor down. For 50 long years, no one else ventured near. They walked through the hall, unaware of the squalor that he kept around. Newspapers and bags, wrappers and rags, treasures and trash piled high. A great wall of Germany built from its history, bric-a-brac bricks and the buzzing of flies. All alone in his room, sealed in his tomb when they finally opened the door. He had died in his chair, 3 days resting there, mountains of memories in stacks on the floor. What makes it so strong? The urge to hold on to things we should really let go. In a one-man museum where people can't see them, secrets we keep from the neighbors below. And Munich wakes up in the morning and washes its face. The But sadness makes marks you can feel in the dark. Fresh paint and plaster are meant to erase. Climbing each flight of the staircase, you might feel the footsteps of those gone before. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. War. Michael leads us upstairs to the room we will share after we've played our concert that night. While the boys go out drinking, I lay here thinking, ashamed to feel lonely. I read Truman Capote just to keep on the light. Till I hear them tumbling, laughing and mumbling, stumbling down the cobblestone streets. In just a few hours they'll take their cold showers and put cowboy boots back on their feet. And Munich wakes up in the morning and washes its face. Sadness makes marks you can feel in the dark. Fresh paint and plaster are meant to erase. Climbing each flight of the staircase, you might feel the footsteps of those gone before. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. The coming and going, the uneasy unknowing of those who have been through the war. War, war, war. I realize there are a few new faces that I haven't met before, I think, here in the room. And I usually explain, there was a song, the one before that one, that has a line in it about working out in the cold, burying the dead. And I usually explain that that is a reference to the fact that I work as a funeral director. Otherwise, it sounds a bit weird. I don't write a whole lot of songs about funerals. They're not really party jams, you know, but I did make an exception. And I usually tell a story or two about working in a funeral home. But right before we started this show, I was being interviewed. My friend Robert Campbell, another songwriting pal here in Halifax, was here interviewing me and Young Tree and Carol B about songwriting. And I mentioned to him that I love to talk about songwriting, but people always want to ask me about funerals, which is totally fine. So I thought I might open the floor at this moment in case any one person has one question about funerals. Now is your chance. I've never done this before, and depending on the outcome, I may never do it again. But if there's something you want to know about the funeral business, now is your one time to ask it. I'm going to count to 5 in my head.
Other than you still have time to do it?
Do I still have time to do it? You mean before I die? Or no. Not much. I'm not very useful as a funeral director anymore. I began working at the funeral home as the organist, and I became a funeral director after my boss discovered that he could play more golf if I got my funeral license. And music and funerals have gone hand in hand for a while, but music is winning these days. So yeah. Thank you. I feel quite guilty now. Thank you very much. No. I'm going to play one little song about what it's like to work in a rural Nova Scotian funeral home where, I worked in the village where I grew up, actually, so I knew most of the families that I would meet and would work with, and it wasn't easy to make a very close connection. And Usually people want to ask me about embalming and what that's all about, what happens behind closed doors, and I can tell you the first embalming case that I ever worked on was my grade primary teacher. So yeah, trial by fire. Well, not by fire. That's a different process. But anyhow, here's a song called At Your Service. In the hard gray chairs at the doctor's office, me and a man with a terrible cough. It's 11 a.m. The doctor is late. Nothing there to do but wait. He handed me a wrinkly business card, told me of his young years working hard, small engine repair, tractors and mowers, back in the days when the world moved slower. He had loved every minute of the simple life, a lot less simple since he lost his wife. She had died last June, her lungs full of cancer. He took all the tests, he was waiting for answers. His hands were shaking, he looked so nervous as he handed me the card that said, "At your service." At the funeral home when the paperwork came, I remember the card and I remembered his name. The obituary short, no next of kin. We only had to print a few bulletins. For the half dozen people that had gathered there, fanning themselves in their hard gray chairs, workers from the home where the old man lived, sympathy cards with nobody to give. The minister comforted in their loss, and everybody rose for the old rugged cross. We carried him down to where the grass was mown, his wife and his son's names carved in stone. As we covered the grave with a shovel of dirt, I remembered the card with the words, "At your service." Do 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 do.
I imagine a lot of people kind of say, funeral director, oh man, what, and have this weird edge about it.
Right.
But I personally don't see it that way at all. I see it as one of the most caring and giving, helpful things you can do for other people, to do it right.
Well, I mean, it has its mystique about it, and everywhere I go, when the cat's out of the bag, people immediately want to talk to me about it.
Right.
And couldn't give a lick about talking about songwriting, which is what I'd really like to talk about.
I won't get into that too much,
no.
But it's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, no, it truly is, and there isn't really a mystifying piece about it, because the crux of that job is just supporting a family through those couple days of crisis when emotions are running high and people are getting together, sometimes who haven't seen each other in years and years, and it digs up all of that dirt too, and so just being a level head and a listening ear goes a long way in that job.
And that kind of empathy has a lot of crossover into songwriting, because when you see other humans dealing with whatever they're dealing with, it creates scenarios and possibilities for your songwriting.
Yeah.
Where do you get most of your stuff from? I mean, I've listened to a number of your tunes, and in fact, last night I watched the first blanket fort that you did with Sarah.
Oh, good
your
gravy.
daughter.
Yeah.
That was great. It was-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a bit of fun. It was very lo-fi, very simple.
Yeah,
you
blanket fort, absolutely.
know, and so fun. And people still talk to me about that. Like, it ran for months.
Yeah. How many episodes did you do?
Oh, gosh, was it in the teens, I think, probably.
Yeah.
It was every Thursday night.
Yeah.
We would rally for a half-hour show. It's so wacky now to even think about.
Well, I watched a few of them,
Things that we
and what I feel it did for you was it kept you active. It kept you
Sure.
in people's faces. It also, as a viewer, gave me an insight into you, and that's important, I
boy.
think, because as a listener, as someone who you want to engage me in your music, and when I learn more about you and get more of a vibe about you, I get more engaged and more invested in it, right?
Right.
So
right.
I thought it was fabulous, and it was real. There was and that's what I find you're very honest about in your songwriting. Does that come easy or what?
Well, okay, wow. There's a couple of directions we could go there.
Yep.
For one, I mean, I've never been about polish, you know. This whole experience of sharing songs, you know, when I would write a song, so I wouldn't forget it, I'd make a video, you know, while the ink was still wet and just post it on Facebook just for friends, just
Right.
to share it, you know, because I wasn't playing shows at that point. That was, you know, like I said, 2016, 2017. And that was the extent of my songwriting and performing
Right.
my own songs. So it wasn't that much of a reach to just go and play these little songs live, because I was used to just them being, you know, me in my pajamas or me,
Yeah.
you know, fresh out of the shower or whatever it is. That was
And
the
I
genesis.
like that, literally in your pajamas.
Yeah, truly.
That's great.
Truly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't that big of a reach. You know,
Yeah.
I think other people maybe wrestled a bit when they were used to putting out very finessed, very sophisticated, you know, videos and images into the world. And now what? You know, when you can't do that necessarily at home. But fortunately, I was used to being scrappy. There's a memory I have that might be a memory and it might be a dream, and I don't know which, and I'm afraid to ask because I want it to be true. But I have a memory of riding an elephant in the exhibition grounds in Windsor, Nova Scotia. I wrote this song, but it was about the circus, but it was about touring life. Because when I was invited to go on that big trek with Ryan Cook, I didn't know what it would be like. I'd never been away from home for more than a week, and I'd never been outside Canada, and I had a lot of trepidation because it isn't like the most responsible thing to do, to leave. And it was a long tour. In total, it was 3 months long. So anyhow, he sweetened the deal by saying we would spend a month in England and spend a month in Germany playing around, and that part was harder to refuse because what a great adventure. And everyone around me was telling me that it was a great idea to go, but I was the last person to be convinced, and I guess in my heart wasn't really sure because I had a dream about, well, the circus, because it is kind of like the circus. It's a weird life, and that's where this song comes from, A Nightmare. Cotton candy, sticky fingers, fryer grease, and smoke that lingers in my wig, and costume clothes, nightmare paint, a bright red nose, a tiny town, the pouring rain. The monkeys pick fleas from the mane of a lion who had lost his fight to noise and heat and firelight. And in the ring, I am a clown. We bring the circus into town and tumble round like acrobats for ticket stubs and coins in hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to town. The chorus girls, they twirl and dance, the frayed lace of their underpants. I made myself some grander plans, swallowed swords and sleights of hand. A magic man cuts me in half to oohs and ahs and doubtful laughs. And every morning crack of dawn, the wheels turn and we move on. And in the ring, I am a clown. We bring the circus into town and tumble round like acrobats for ticket stubs and coins in hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to town. At noon I'll share my sandwiches with elephants and ostriches and think about my precious kids packing their own school lunches. I daydream of a different tent, the summer evenings that we spend at Risser's Beach, laid side by side, the nylon walls, the roaring tide. And in the ring, I am a clown. We bring the circus into town and tumble around like acrobats for ticket stubs and coins in hats. Where are the crowds? They skip the show to listen to the radio. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to. No, they don't bother coming down when the circus comes to town. Thanks.
It probably helped a lot when you come into doing larger shows and stuff too. Not worrying about your ego so much, I guess, or the artifice of putting on a show, just being natural out of it on your live show.
What that brings to mind is the interesting contrast between me and Ben Kaplan. So Ben and I were an unlikely duo from the start because Ben is like a theater performer. And he seems completely off the rails, but
larger than life.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is actually a great deal of finesse and precision in everything he does.
Yeah.
And that is completely not what you get with me. So, when we would play shows together, I don't know what I'm going to say on stage, to my peril at times. And, with Ben, it's mapped out. It is like a theater show,
Right.
when the clock starts running. And I was so impressed by that. And it made me pull up my socks a little bit and
Right.
get myself together a bit. Not a lot. But it was so nice, fascinating to see the contrast of those two styles. I'm among friends here, right? I think I'm among friends. So I would love to test out a new song, if that's okay. Are we good with that? Yeah. Yeah? I have a specific reason. So, it's new, but I played it once before. Young Tree and Carol B. and I, we were all at the Lunenburg Folk Harbor Festival together. Yeah. And we were told, and I think it's true, that the Lunenburg crowd has a reputation for being singers. They'll sing along with anything, literally anything. They love to sing. Thanks, Robert. And there is Sunday morning is the gospel concert at Lunenburg, where all of the performers in rapid succession get up and sing a gospel tune, and everyone sings along, and it's very uplifting. And this is great. It is great. But mind you, I have played a lot of hymns in my day as a funeral director, and the novelty is kind of worn off of some of them. So I was really debating what to play. I was not certain about my song selection. And usually, if that's the case, I just panic and write a song and play that. And that's exactly what I did for this, too. But I was thinking about recent events here in Nova Scotia in particular. And, we've had wildfires, we've had floods, we had the plague not long ago. And people like to joke and say, like, what's next? The locusts? When are the locusts coming? Yeah, that's what you're saying, right? And so I had this thought, like, what if we just fired God? And wrote a little tune about that and played it for the Lunenburg gospel morning crowd. And I'll tell you, I found one song they weren't too keen to sing along with. So I'm going to try it here. And if you feel like joining in, we're in a metropolitan area, very open-minded people, I think. If you feel inclined to sing along, it would be a real cure for my confidence after staring down the stony-faced gospel crowd in Lunenburg. So this song doesn't really have a title, and it might not need one, because I might never play it again, actually, so we'll see how it goes. Don't send us your fires, don't send us your floods. We've got enough troubles down here in the mud. We are wading through water, we're washed in the blood. So don't you come round anymore. Just stay in your mansion way up in the sky, where the good people go, where the good people die. Don't make me an angel, I don't want to fly. No, don't you come round anymore. This'll be your part. It goes like, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't you come knock on my door. I say it, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't come around anymore. Just keep all your good books, your commandments and rules, all the lessons we learned in your Sunday schools. Now we'll get our advice from the kind-hearted fools who don't come around anymore. Here's your turn. It goes, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't you come knock on my door. I said, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't come around anymore. Wow, that worked out okay, great. Just leave all us sinners way down here alone. We like you better when you're up on your throne. We will reap the rewards of the seeds we have sown. We will dance in the fields where the bad weeds have grown. We will make our own trials, we'll find our own scandals. You said you wouldn't give us more than we can handle. Your work here is done, shake the dust from your sandals and don't come around anymore. Here we go, we sing, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't you come knock on my door. I said, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't come around anymore. We can do it again, we will sing, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't you come knock on my door. I said, oh Lord, oh my Lord, don't you come around anymore. Don't come near us. I said, don't you come around anymore. Clean out your desk. I said, don't come around anymore. It's a keeper. You know what? I don't really do a capital P performance.
Right.
It's more like a conversation.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that's the experience that I love.
Nice.
And Blanket Fort felt like that too. You
Yeah,
know, with people
yeah.
chiming in with their messages
Yeah, yeah.
during the show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's my style.
Cool, cool. How many albums do you have now?
3.
3,
Yeah.
right? The
yeah.
one with Ben.
3.5.
and you're
Yeah.
Chasing Rabbits, and you won the Commonwealth Prize.
yeah.
That was cool.
It was cool. That was totally unexpected. You know, these songwriting contests come and go, and I don't think a whole lot about them. I don't enter a whole lot of them, and I don't know what possessed me to enter that one. But it ran over 4 years.
Good Lord.
And
4
they
years?
collected- Yeah, to coincide with
I
the
didn't realize
Commonwealth
it was
Games.
that. Oh, my God. I
Yeah,
didn't
so the
have no
last
idea.
one was 2018, and then, you know, in the interim, they collected these songs, 20,000 songs, it turns out. I didn't know that initially. That song is about a place that means a lot to me. It's about what was the old textile mill in Windsor. That was the subject of one of the first songs I ever wrote. Well, and now what's left of it. There's only about a third left of the building. Recently, they tore down 2/3 of it because it was just unsalvageable. And that's where this song comes from. And it's special to me, so special to me that I've recorded it twice with 2 different friends. And I'm going to play it by myself for you tonight. So here, this is a song called Brick and Mortar, and it is apparently better than the other 19,999 songs that I entered in the contest. I rub my hands and absorb the heat, radiating up through the passenger seat. The engine idled silent in the bitter cold. The light shines through a clean gray slate, a whisper of blue in the weary weight of hearts too heavy for our hands to hold. The hurt comes quick, the words come late, hours spent on an expiry date, and we both have other places we should be. The chance we had has passed us by, a stray plane in a neutral sky, a tear stain drying on a jacket sleeve. Hearts can pound through brick and mortar, cornerstones are crumbling into dust. The walls come down, I come up short. I wanted more, I wanted more, I wanted more of us. The walls give in, the roof has caved. One more thing that we can't save. Time and change will win, no matter how we try. And it's hard to say no, and hard to say when, to tear it all down or build it up again. There's a gentle art in saying goodbye. Hearts can pound through brick and mortar, cornerstones are crumbling into dust. The walls come down, I come up short. I wanted more, I wanted
So, and
Thank
you're
you
writing
so
music,
much.
You write a lot solo, and you sometimes co-write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've really got the co-writing bug now.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm an only child by trade, and
Yeah.
I thought it might be that way always, because I loved writing so much just as a solitary activity. But lately, co-writing and collaborating has really swooped in
Nice.
and made some exciting times musically.
You'll write with all sorts of people? Are you writing with people in particular? Are you writing with people in particular for an album? Anything like that?
It's a mix. Once in a while, I'm lucky enough to be part of a song camp where people
Right.
are just, put in a room and need to spit out songs on a deadline, and I love that. And then sometimes with me, there will be a specific song that reminds me of someone, a different sound or a musician I admire, and maybe I'll take that song to them and see if they can
Work
finish
with
it
you
off.
on it?
That was the case with Matt Anderson.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a big mix, actually.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find songwriting to be one of the best things you can do. Yeah. And you learn how to leave your ego out of it.
True. That was one of the very first lessons that I learned, is that you might lob out 100 ideas.
Yeah.
You can't be precious about them.
Yeah. You got to
You'll be
kill your children
stronger.
sometimes.
This is it.
Right?
Yeah.
Bang, you got to
Yeah.
you got to let that go and say, and I like three-way writes the most.
Sure.
The third wheel really helps guide, really provides that interrupt sometimes.
Oh, that's great.
And I love the finding people who are wordsmiths or music smiths or whatever, and having different talents in the room, right?
That probably gets me excited.
Yeah.
More than anything else. I love performing and I love sharing the songs, but boy, when there's a song like halfway finished, wow, I am energized.
Cool. Yeah. Right on.
I just love it.
So where are you going next with the writing and the co-writing or albums, that kind of stuff? What's going on?
Yeah, well, some things haven't come out yet. And I'm not a very patient person, so it's really hard to know that things are on the way. But I'm so proud to have worked with David Francie.
Oh, yeah.
Who is one of my favorite all-time songwriters. And getting to collaborate with him on a tune or two for his next record. And we
Nice.
play a lot on the record. And we'll be touring together next.
Cool.
We've played all the festivals together this summer.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
yeah, we'll be
Fabulous.
pairing up for a run of shows that will stretch into the new year, and that's basically like a bucket list item checked
Incredible.
off for me. So that's really big. And
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
I can't go into what that means
No.
to me because I will fall apart a bit.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, chipping away at a new record.
Good.
And writing for that. I think the tunes are finished. It's just a matter of recording them and finishing that up next. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Hey, have you got you've got management company, record company, those kind of supports? Have you got a full, like the industry likes to say, get your team
A
behind
team.
you. Have you
The
got your
capital
team behind
T
you?
team.
Yeah. Is that, how's that going for you?
Well,
The industry
gosh.
can chew you up and spit you out in a hell of a hurry. So
Yeah. I've been pretty fortunate so far. So I have a pair of Canadian bookers who are helping me push a little bit into new places too. Ryan and Jennifer from a company called, I love this, I Book Shows.
oh, good.
Yep,
Yeah.
great. I make songs.
Clarity.
So perfect. And they have been great in helping me push a little bit outside of Nova Scotia, outside the Maritimes, and play in new places. So officially they are my team, but really my team, most of them live in my house,
Right.
the Blanket Fort crew.
Right. Okay.
And, my daughter, Sarah, is invaluable for her perspective, and she just gives me straight talk on things and takes photos when I'm too embarrassed to have anyone else do
Nice.
it. And
Yeah.
And, my husband keeps all the wheels turning when I'm away. So
Yeah.
they're my team, but official team with business cards, No
Yeah.
management yet, no labels.
Well, you're doing a hell of a
yet.
job, girl.
I love it. I love the job, and it is
Cool.
a job,
Yeah,
no
it's-
question.
You got to get
know?
up and do all that stuff, the social
Yeah.
media, the phone calls, the emails,
Oh yeah,
blah,
all
blah,
of it.
blah, radio spots, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it is a hustle, but
Yeah.
I do love it.
Cool. Tonight you're going to play a good long set with Young Tree and Carol B doing their thing, and maybe a song or two together.
That's right.
We'll record it, and we will intersperse some of this with it and have some fun with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you for
yeah.
hanging out anytime.
I like your tunes. Keep it up.
Thanks, Robert. Likewise.
Yeah. Good.
All right, right quick. I'm going to play one last tune. I was part of a songwriters workshop at Lunenburg, and there's a bunch of artists on stage, and you're given a theme, and the theme was the power of friendship. And one by one, each of those musicians played song after song, and it was all about like friends who like maybe were a bit more than friends, if you know what I'm saying, or that you wanted them to be a bit more than friends. And it became apparent that everyone just wanted to sing love songs or heartbreak songs, and we didn't want to sing anything about friends. So in that spirit, I'm going to play you the last song from that workshop, but I'm going to invite a helper up to the stage. Helper, are you out there? Great. This song is about good friends, and I'm inviting my very best friend, Andrew Kasperzak, to the stage to help me out with this last song. Please give a warm round of applause. I'm going to leave you with this, but first, let me please thank everyone here at the Carleton, Karen, who puts all the shows together, and John running the sound and doing an amazing job, as always, and the whole staff. Please be kind to them. Thank you to Young Tree and Carol B. for having me on board with this trip, and thank you all for coming out on a Wednesday night when there's so much fun to be had in the city on a Wednesday. So thank you for choosing to be here. This is a song called Good Friends.
When all is lost and life is upside down,
A friend is there to turn your day around.
when your hands are full, a friend might hold the door.
Yes, that is what good friends are for. To keep your secrets under lock and key.
To forgive the flaws that other folks don't see.
To remind you of a joke that you once shared. Yes, that is how a good friend cares. A friend is nice when you need advice. They'll steer you clear of trouble. They understand when you need a hand. They will be there on the double. When you need a lift or you feel adrift, a friend might throw a line. It's such a gift to have a friend like mine.
Now anyone can love you at your best.
But only a good friend can pass the test.
They'll love you when you're angry, sad, or bitter.
A friend makes you a winner when you feel like a quitter. Yeah, keep going. It's great. Yeah, that's right. When you're tipsy in the glow of candlelight,
And you ask a friend if they might stay the night.
but they don't stay. They go home to someone else. That is one way a good friend helps.
A shoulder you can cry on.
And nothing more.
Yes, that is what good friends are for.
Andrew Kasperzak. Thank you.
Terra Spencer.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick little break, and then Young Tree and Carol B will knock your socks off. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you.
That's the end of the regular radio show portion, and I'd like to thank you for listening to Songwriters from Here and Away. This is the podcast version, and I only have a little bit of a part of a song because the button wasn't pressed at the board in time to catch the full first song, so we've got the last 90% of it. But first, I'd like to ask you to go online, look up Songwriters from Here and Away, give us a like, a follow, a share, or whatever that stuff is, subscribe, and check us out. We have some concerts being recorded live here in the Halifax area, and love to have you come down. If you live close enough, we'll also be out to Cape Breton and possibly Shelburne or a Bridgewater area soon. Here's the last bit of the first tune of Terra's concert, and we will have the Young Tree and Carol B on the next show. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, we lived in dingy basements, so happy to have our own place. Went to school, brought 2 babies into the world. And even after all these years, changed plans and changed careers, I only really want to be your girl. There isn't one thing I would alter. I know you'll stand by me through thick and thin. When we walk together, our steps will never falter. I don't know where you stop and I begin. 20 years in. Now our little girl has grown and has a sweetheart of her own. And when they meet for tea, he brings her flowers. And I see myself in her and just how young we were. And I hope she knows a love as sweet as ours. There isn't one thing I would alter. I know you'll stand by me through thick and thin. When we walk together, our steps will never falter. I don't know where you stop and I begin. 20 years in. 20 years in. 20 years in. 20 years.